Hello, everybody. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed from Kenworthy's Motocross Park in Troy, Ohio, as the 125 riders take a parade lap to survey the course. Steve Lamson dominating this season so far, out in front of John Dowd by 89 points. Kevin Windham making a big run for second. Marty.
Guys, Mike Brown can't buy a break, and break's probably the wrong word to use. Remember, he's coming off that arm injury from St. Louis. He has 2 fifth-place finishes in a row, but earlier in practice today, he caught his thumb in a fall in the chain of Damon Huffman's machine. Now, he has made his warm-up lap. He thinks he's going to be okay, but it's going to be very hard for him to grip, and will he have the stamina to go the full 30 minutes?
Well, that's going to be painful, or just the vibration on the handlebars alone is going to make that thing hurt. And taking a look at the Suzuki track map, the track really hasn't changed at all since last year in terms of layout, but they've added a few whoop-de-doo sections and some jumps that are a little bit different angle this year, and the starting line is all on fresh grass. Once they get out onto the dirt, shoot up, the soil is perfect. Perfect traction for these 125s.
The riders at the gate right now. The weather's in great contrast to last year, where the humidity and temperatures were in the high 90-degree range. It was stifling as we get set for moto number 1 of the 125s. And they're off. Oh, breaking from the gate beautifully is Steve Lamson. He'll be hard to catch with this great start. Steve Lamson gets the whole shot. Right there is Michael Craig. You'll notice number 17 and number 14, Robbie Raynard. Number 7 is John Dowd, as Steve Lamson has the early lead here in moto number 1.
And another advantage for Lamson, besides just the hole shot, is Kevin Windham, who's been so fast, is pretty far back in the pack. So that's going to give Lamson some breathing room, although Raynard right there is really close. Kind of a question mark right now. When he's on, he is very fast.
Lamson, Raynard, and Michael Craig. You'll notice Michael Craig, number 17, in blue uniforms, not in the traditional red and black of Honda of Troy. They use these blue uniforms for special occasions. And, of course, Honda of Troy just down the road. Oh, Raynard tripled where Lamson only doubled that little one.
That's going to be a tricky section, depending on whether you're in the lead, trying to decide whether you should go tight or wide. If you go wide the way Raynard and Craig did, you're able to triple that section coming in there, and it gives you a good run through that long section. And I think we'll see some passes there as the race continues.
Lamson, it's obvious, is focused on pulling away from the pack early.
It sure looks that way. He's aggressive right now. And what you'll see happen a lot of times in this 125 class is everyone's so even, is they'll stay pretty close for a while. That won't bother Steve, though, because he knows he'll be able to pull away later in the race.
In fourth, number 7 is Dowd, then Ferry, number 20. Number 455 is Brian Roth. And it's a long time coming before we see Kevin Windham. He must be in about 15th position, David Bailey.
Not where he wants to be. You can see the difference out front. For Steve, it's clear sailing. There's nobody in front of you. There's very little roost. You can establish your pace a little bit better with all the front runners. When you get back there in 15th, 20th place, there's so many guys in your way. By the time you work your way into a good position.
Here comes Chad Pedersen, number 21.
And you can see Windham right there to the right of your screen, searching for a line that isn't already taken. That's going to be tough in the first few laps for him to work his way through a lot of these riders. He's capable of running faster than. By the time he gets up where he belongs, the leaders will be long gone.
The leaders now starting to space out a bit. Yes, Windham did get a slow start, but in his defense, this is the first time he's seen this track. His rookie season last year, but he had mono. So he tries to feel his way into these new tracks and comes on strong at the end of most of them. Robbie Raynard in second now, starting to get a little challenge from Michael Craig, number 17.
And Craig knows the importance of the first few laps and really putting some time on the rest of the field. Both those guys getting through that berm just like it was a slingshot. Good balance right now. Like I said earlier, when Raynard is riding well, he is a lot of fun to watch. The guy is so fast, and it doesn't look like he's trying very hard. Very effortless.
Both these guys have had real yo-yo seasons. Raynard starting the season with a broken vertebrae, crashed and separated his shoulder. Had a flat tire when he was leading at Glen Helen. Number 14 has had a lot of bad luck this year. Craig also started the season off with a broken leg. He's had crashes, numerous crashes. Even had to go to the LCQ one time. Battling it out for second place right now is Robbie Raynard, number 14, and number 17, Michael Craig from Honda of Troy.
And the way those guys got through that left-hand berm right there, great balance. These guys are all riding perfect right now and staying evenly spaced throughout these first few laps. Lamson's not able to get away like I would have expected. Reynard is riding good, and Craig is keeping him in check right there. A little mistake.
And Craig makes the pass. One little bobble can mean a position in this race when they're that close. Michael Craig in second place.
Hits his shoulder on the tree right there. They have to get so close to the tree. That's why they got the hay bales there. And Mike is able to keep his front wheel still in the berm, but a little bobble from him. It's more of a one-line section that wouldn't have allowed Reynard to get around, though.
Right now, the leaders are approaching a section where Tim Ferry remembers well last year, getting clipped by a flying machine trying to get off the track after he went down. Michael Craig in second place with Reynard in hot pursuit.
This is a tricky section right here. You see that deep rut that Craig's riding through. Reynard elects to go all the way around it in the opening lap. Lamson was stopped up on the top, cut to the inside. So a difference of opinion through there. What's the fastest line?
This is the race within the race for second place here in the early going, and Michael Craig gets cross-rutted there a bit, and Robbie Reynard puts on the throttle.
Well, Craig just leaned a little bit too far to the inside, cut out of that berm, and lost all his speed. Looked like he smacked his knee on the handlebar, and that was all Reynard needed.
Robbie coming off a 10th place finish at Unadilla. He was 4th here last year. Marty's on his way over toward his mechanic and father.
Hi, guys.
Hey, you know you got to be doing good when we come talk to you. Don't look so disappointed when you see me.
I'd rather you talk to the rider.
Well, if he keeps riding like this, we will, because this will be his best run of the season.
Yeah, I know. I'm just hoping he keeps his mind going. He wasn't real happy with the way he rode practice. He doesn't feel real strong right now, but he's trying.
As we take a look at the Suzuki stopwatch to give us a good indication as to the interval, Steve Lamson, our leader, the defending champion. Back to Robbie Reynard, about 3.8 seconds, and then Michael Craig. Look, we've got a pack of 3 down. John Dowd, Tim Ferry, and Damon Huffman trying to pick up the slack between the leading pack.
It looks to me like Huffman's really putting the pressure on these guys, starting to tighten screws, and that's picking up the pace of this trio. And then Reynard's father talking about Robbie not feeling very good, not feeling 100%.
Oh, good pass by Damon Huffman. He went to the outside, like you said, got the momentum to triple. Ferry doubled.
That was an excellent line. Ferry went out there and had the run at it, but he didn't go out wide enough. I think he was afraid Huffman was going to cut underneath him, and then he got past anyway.
Lee McCullum, Tim Ferry's mechanic, looking very intently as these 3 battle it out behind the top 3 riders in our moto. Damon Huffman gives him a wheel inside to John Dowd. Now goes to the outside. Oh, good battle going on here.
He's really starting to put on the pressure, and this is part of the track where some of the sections are one line, and Huffman's just finding more room. Stands up a little bit more than some of the other riders, a little bit taller. Kind of looks big for that 125, but fast on it. He's got great balance and a good technique. You can see he clears those jumps a little bit differently than Dowd. Seems to be the faster of these 3 guys right now.
Huffman in his 3rd race back from injury. ACL injury, cuts to the inside on Dowd, and he's now in 4th spot.
Now it'll be interesting to see if he pulls away from these guys pretty quickly. He was able to get around them pretty easily. He's got the confidence to go to the outside right now.
Challenged once again by John Dowd.
I think he knew he had just enough room to hold off that spot. He knew that if he could go out wide and still do that triple, that by the end of that section he would have a little bit extra room.
Continuing to improve. At Buchanan, he ended up 10th overall, 8th at Unadilla. He's looking to improve every week.
That's what the rest of the season really is for Damon. I mean, there's no way he can win the title. The injury really took him out of the remaining portion of the Supercross series. So now let's just get back in there, get comfortable, and be strong for next season.
Robbie Reynard and Michael Craig, 2nd and 3rd behind Steve Lamson.
I started to point out before that Robbie's dad, when he was talking to Marty, was saying how Robbie was uncomfortable and he's not 100%. I'd sure like to be running 2nd like that and I'd be 100%. He's still pretty close to Lamson. You can see there just going through your screen.
Recently, there's been a lot of talk about the youthfulness of Olympians and when they should actually start such concentrated training. Well, the Robbie Reynard story is an interesting one, isn't it, David?
It is, because there was the huge contract from Kawasaki. He turned pro at the earliest possible age, and there was so much expectation because he was so good during the amateur ranks, winning in Ponca City and Loretta Lynn's. It's tough. You move up to the pros, and it's a little bit different. The guys push you around a little bit, and all that expectation is tough for a 16-year-old to handle, and especially that kind of salary, too.
Whoa, Chad Pedersen, a little bit of trouble right there in 7th place behind Ferry and John Dowd. And here comes Kevin Windham.
Windham, another story similar to Robbie Raynard, where he started early, and I think Hannah said it best. He said he didn't really want to see Windham win just yet. He didn't want to see him dominate. He wanted him to go out there and pay his dues, learn a little bit, and then be winning championships when he's in his early 20s.
Our leader is Steve Lampson. We're looking right now as Tim Ferry has taken the lead of this 3-pack with John Dowd and Chad Pedersen.
And it looks like Ferry's starting to pull away right now through some of those supercross sections right there. He's been riding good lately. A good ride at Buchanan, another fine ride at Unadilla, 3rd and 4th. It's been up front lately, and it's contract time. I think all these guys are starting to get it in gear towards the end of the season.
Much more aggressive in his riding style in the last 2 races. Of course, Ferry trying to forget about last year with the big crash. He was 3rd in the points at that time, very much in contention for the title. Whoa, Kevin Windham inside does a triple.
I don't believe that. On 125, he doesn't even go to the outside. He just squared off Pedersen and still did the triple anyway with ease. So some of the trickier sections are easier for Windham right now, and he's slicing his way through the pack.
Windham now in hot pursuit of his teammate John Dowd, and Chad Pedersen losing contact with that group. Windham looking very comfortable, in control.
No, he doesn't look like he's trying very hard. In a lot of cases, it looks like he's still just checking the track out like it's practice, but he's passing guys. So that just tells you how good this kid is and how well balanced. You can see this up ahead of Dowd there is Tim Ferry. I thought was starting to pull away a little bit, but now you can see Windham has really tightened it all back up again.
That's 5th, 6th, and 7th positions here in our moto number 1 as Pedersen now picking up the speed. Robbie Raynard and Michael Craig going at it once again, and Michael Craig takes over 2nd place.
Back and forth through there. It looked like to me that Craig had tried to do all he could to block Raynard, and they probably slowed each other down a little bit in the process, taking some pretty wild lines, but Craig's got a hold of it. He's looking over his shoulder, making sure. Yeah, I think he's afraid that Raynard might come back in there and give him a little nudge.
This is the 3rd lead change between these 2 riders in 2nd and 3rd positions. Steve Lampson now has just said adios to the rest of the field.
Now it just looks like Craig and Raynard will be battling amongst themselves. No way they're going to catch Lampson this moto.
Our Marty Reed talked with Craig just prior to today's race.
I ride Supercross so much, and that's all I do all day is jump. So that makes me a good Supercross rider. So I had to switch and go out and find some thrash tracks and just hammer motos all day, which, you know, it takes away from my jumping. But, you know, plus I'm going from a 250 to a 125, and next year I'm definitely going to go back to a 250 outdoor. So I think I'm a lot better 250 rider.
What are the plans for next year?
I'm going to stay here with Honda Troy. I'm going to ride 250 outdoor, 250 Supercross, and we got a new rider, Mike Kudrowski. So it's going to be good for me because he's an outdoor rider, and I'm going to train with him a lot.
As far as pressure this weekend, big event for Honda of Troy, obviously, hometown.
Yeah, you know, all year long, Phil's needed a win, and so far no one has done it. And he sponsors this race. This is right down the street from his shop. So, you know, someone's, either me or the other 5 guys, need to get up on the podium and give Phil what he wants. You know, Phil's really hungry for a podium finish.
Does that make you feel good, or does that make you feel nervous?
Makes me feel good, but the way the year's gone, I haven't got on the podium yet. So, you know, I need the first one, and if it could be here, I'll be way more than happy.
That'll be an interesting team. Michael Craig re-upping with Honda of Troy, along with Larry Ward also, and Mike Kudrowski.
It's interesting how a team can change a little bit its way of thinking when a new guy is on board. Remember how things changed at Honda when Rick Johnson came over there, and so they did the same thing when Bob Hanna came to the team. Both those guys wanted to win so bad, they're a little bit more to themselves, and it made everybody take their job a little more seriously and try a little harder, a little bit more competition on the team.
Pedersen picking up the slack on number 7 in 7th place, John Dowd. Our leader, Steve Lampson, on the field summary with Craig and Raynard battling it out. Wyndham trying to move up the ladder.
This is one of the newer sections. They added some whoop-de-doos through this little wooded section here. It's a lot tougher. It's going to take its toll on these guys. Look at that line by Pedersen, goes way wide. It's not necessarily any faster, but it's smart not to follow John Dowd through there. Dowd would have made a mistake. He'd have gotten by, and it worked out in the end.
Pedersen making his move. Last year here, he got 2 great starts. The top privateer in the field. Overall, he finished up 5th with a 4.6.
I think this year you can really see the depth of talent in this 125 class. Here we are 7th and 8th. John Dowd 2nd in the points. You got Ferry just ahead of them, Wyndham. I mean, this class is just stacked, which makes it all that much more impressive that Lamson is able to run away with it out front.
Dowdy, number 7, never really got a great deal of experience on 125. That's what makes this season so unique. He had to get used to a 125 machine before really getting some results.
Well, it was kind of an odd decision, I thought, by Yamaha to throw him back in the 125 class. He ended up 2nd in the 250 Nationals a couple of years ago, beating out McGrath. But the way the team stacked up, I think they felt like Bradshaw and Henry would be able to do the job in the 250 class, and there was no place left for Dowd. He figured he would muscle it out in 125, and he's done a pretty good job. He's beaten everybody but Lamson.
And because of jumping early in his career to 250s, he had all kinds of eligibility in the 125s as we look back at Tim Ferry and Chad Pedersen.
These are the monstrous double jumps in the back section. Those get tougher as the day continues. You start getting tired, miss time one of those a little bit, and you'll be in big trouble. It's also a good place for the crowd to hang out. They like those big jumps.
And we have a near record crowd this year in Kenworthy's motocross park. Steve Lamson still our leader, but Kevin Wyndham trying to move up the ranks. Here at Moto number 1, the real battle as Steve Lamson has taken away out in first place. He could fall down and still win the race. But the battle here is for second place. Number 17, Michael Craig, and number 14, Robbie Reynard, with Damon Huffman now making it a three-way run.
Huffman really starting to tighten the screws on these guys. He has been able to pass anybody he's caught up to so far today. We'll see if he can do it around both these guys. It seems like they kind of got in a battle amongst themselves and forgot about Lamson, and what's happened is Huffman is moving about the same pace as Lamson's caught these guys, and now change the complexion of the whole battle.
Robbie Reynard moves back into second place, so it's Reynard who's had a very difficult season of it with so many injuries. And Huffman is putting the heat on Michael Craig, young man from Acton, California. His mechanic is Brian Lettis. Marty is with him right now. Marty?
Brian, it looks like he's closing, and looks like there might be enough time.
It's pretty close. He's been sitting there just waiting on those guys. I think the other two are kind of getting tired. We're really concerned about his Wyndham coming up, so if we can hold position and move up on the other two guys, we'll be okay.
Brian Lettis, of course, working with some of the great riders of all time in this sport, taking on a youngster like Damon Huffman. There's got to be a little psychological changes there to bring a young man up through the ranks. And here comes Huffman to the inside, showing his expertise as he takes Michael Craig moving into third.
That's right past the mechanics area, so I'm sure Lunas is going to like that. Now Huffman's got a good look at second place. Rayner right there just coming through your screen. Coming into some of the sections of the racetrack where I think Huffman has a little advantage on everyone else. Some of the timing sections, he's been making up time the whole moto there.
Some of this track looking a little hard caked.
Well, it's going to, in places, get pretty hard packed. It does through this section right here, but they're going straight, so they don't have to worry about the bike sliding. Watch, they'll do that triple, that lines them up perfect for the next one. Then boom, over those three right there. That's where a lot of guys have trouble. They do the first two, and then they get all off timing before that right-hander.
A look at Brian Lettis, and look at on his board. Push. He wants him to catch Robbie Reynard in the worst way. Number 14 in second place.
Well, when you get this close, and when you've caught him from that far back, too, and you're able to close in this much in the final laps, he knows that Reynard's a little bit tired, and he should be. He's had a lot of injuries to deal with. He knows he can't be 100%, so why not take advantage of that? And right there, Huffman again, a little bit better timing through those rough sections.
It's Lamson way out in front on this final lap, with Robbie Reynard and Damon Huffman battling for second place still.
Anytime it was a hot day, I always liked riding through the shade. It's got to be a lot cooler back in there, but it's because of the shadows, it's a little bit harder to see your lines, too.
When it really gets hot is when you stop riding.
Well, you don't feel it so much. For Lamson right here, he's just happy to be winning the race. He knows it's almost over with, and as soon as he comes in and stops and does that interview with us, that's when he'll really feel tired.
89 points in the lead coming into this race, trucking toward his second consecutive 125 national title. Takes the checkers here in Moto number 1. Robbie Reynard approaching the veteran Guy Cooper, who is running in his second race, but the veteran wisely pulls aside for this battle for second. Reynard holding on. Damon Huffman in third. Still the best finish of the year for Damon. Lamson, Raynard, Huffman are top three in Moto 1, with Kevin Windham holding on to fourth, Michael Craig slipping to fifth. Tim Ferry, Pedersen, Dowd, Dobb, and Deegan rounding out our top 10. Let's go down to Marty.
It looked like start was everything, and then it was like put it on cruise control. Great ride.
Yeah, thanks. I did get a good start, and I just felt awesome out there. I'm kind of using my head. I'm riding smart. I think I could have pushed a little bit harder, but what's the use? You know, I mean, I had a good lead. I kept track where everyone else was, and I just rode my own race.
What about the second moto now? Will you make any changes? It looked like everything just was flawless.
No, actually, I won't make hardly any changes, I don't think. I'm going to go back, talk to the team guys, and see what they thought, but I don't think we're going to change anything.
Steve Lamson, winner, moto number 1.
Winning his 10th moto in 17 this year. Robbie Raynard, his best finish by far on the season. Holding off Damon Huffman, whose best finish prior to this was a 4th. Let's go to Marty.
All I can say is congratulations, best run of the season.
Yeah, I've been having a little bit of trouble at Southwick. I got a pretty good start. I was leading, and I dislocated my shoulder. I came back at Unadilla, and I got really tired both motos, so I just tried to put it together out here. I went home and put a lot of motos in, and it's feeling pretty good. My arms are still a little bit tired, but it's just going to take some time. I think I'll probably feel better for the second moto. I'm usually stronger for it, so we'll have to see.
Well, it looked like about a little past the halfway point that you were getting tired again when Craig got around you.
Yeah, my arms were pumped a little bit, and I was just trying to stay smooth and breathe and try to get them relaxed. And they relaxed a little bit, but they're still kind of tired, so we'll have to see how they feel in the second moto now.
We'll see you then.
Thanks.
Kenworthy's Motocross Park is a little different than the natural terrain tracks we've seen in the past. It's flat as a pancake, so workers have to come in and build it up like a supercross track, David.
It's a huge supercross track. All the jumps are twice as far in most cases. The racing comes right to the fans. There's tunnels under some of the big jumps so the spectators can access all areas of the track. The design goes in and out of the woods and really forces the riders to stay on their toes because there's so many jumps and they're all so big.
Steve Lamson swept this event last year, and of course after such a powerful run in Moto number 1, can he sweep it again?
Sure looks like it to me, and you would never know Steve had the big points lead that he does because he just went from gate to flag. Looked like he gave it 100% the whole way.
Kevin Windham many times has been the fastest bike in Moto number 2.
Well, you know, I think that's because he doesn't have the experience of seeing some of these racetracks last year having injuries and mono. Didn't see this racetrack, in fact, and maybe just a little more tentative in that first moto.
Steve Lamson, incidentally, he's so powerful in motocross, but he tried another sport the other day and came back with mixed reviews. Marty Reed caught up with him.
What about this golf game I heard about just the other day?
It was pretty, everyone had been laughing pretty good. It was comedy. Had my dad and myself, which I know I'm not very good, and we were hitting balls and hitting people and off course and losing balls, and had everyone yelling at us. So I need to improve on that.
So in other words, you'd have done better if you would have been able to ride the golf course?
Yeah, I think I did better in the golf cart than I did golfing.
The Honda of Troy Pitts as we look at Mike Brown's bike number 9, having problems with that very sore thumb, placing 39th, and get a little Mike Gosselaar action here, David.
Put a new clutch in Lamson's 125. You got Stanton there. I don't know what he's reading. Let's see, looking for a new tractor, I guess.
And the Honda of Troy Pitts here, Michael Craig's bike, getting some work done. And of course, between motos, always the time for the media, as Marty Reed is going over there to find out what Jerry Bernardo's up to these days.
As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Bernardo in total control of Moto World 2 as they're shooting this interview with Jeff Emig and Greg Albertine. And this is too sane for Jerry. He's normally much more wacko than this.
Riders getting ready at the starting gate. Scott Sheik is not in the field. Neither is Mikel Pichon. Pichon with that virus, which sounds like a wild-type thing.
Kind of an Epstein-Barr deal where the more you train, the worse it is. You just have to try to beef up your immune system to handle it and really monitor your training and not overdo it.
Scotty Sheik just recuperating from some minor injuries as we get set down for Moto 2, right behind the bike of Damon Huffman. Our camera wisely got out of the way. The gate is dropped. Let's see who gets the whole shot this time around. In Moto number 1, it was Steve Lamson. Huffman was battling Windham, and Lamson gets tied up in that little ruckus there in the first turn. Damon Huffman, number 10. 17 is Michael Craig, another outstanding start for him, and Chad Pedersen, number 21.
Much better start for Wyndham. He already gets around Craig, and he is so fast in the opening laps. Now he's going to get a chance to battle with Huffman. I don't think these guys have gotten together much this year.
Huffman, our leader. If you're wondering where Lamson is, he is in 19th position right now after that first turn mix-up.
So now it's the opposite from the first moto with the two fastest guys in this class, really Wyndham and Lamson. Lamson having to work his way through the pack now, and Wyndham got to look at the lead. Looks like he's going to go for it right here.
Oh, at the inside, Kevin Wyndham easily takes David Huffman. Take another look.
Wyndham comes out of the inside right here, inside of Huffman, takes so much finesse to get over that triple from there. Goes for the next triple, then right here he goes for 4 more before the tree. I've never seen anybody do that. That's secured that pass to the lead.
Not so far on the day anyway, David. Kevin Wyndham, the only rider this year to break up Lamson's string of overall victories when he won Glen Helen and Mount Morris back-to-back. Mike Brown in 4th position.
Still nursing that painful hand. Much better position than he was in the first moto. We'll see if he can hang on to it. Towards the end of the race, that really starts to hurt.
Marty Reed in the mechanics area, and he's with Jeff Nutter.
Well, I didn't even expect him to make the second moto, let alone be battling for 3rd this early.
Yeah, neither did I. I mean, he tore his thumb up pretty bad. It's the same hand that he broke earlier this year in St. Louis. It was really doubtful if he was going to even try the second moto. I'm kind of glad he did. I just want him to get out there and stick it out and do the best he can right now.
You got one courageous rider.
I think so.
3rd here last year, Mike Brown. He could have probably had a better finish if he hadn't collected some flags and lost his brakes.
Well, plus after this round last year, he picked up the points lead. And last year was really just sort of a rookie season and kind of a stepping stone towards hopefully winning the title one day, which hopefully would have been this year with the experience gained last year. And a lot of injuries and hasn't really been able to cash in on his talent.
Oh, it's so memorable last year, too. Right after Troy, they went to Washougal, where he won his first national. And that was the infamous scene with his mechanic, Jeff Nutter, losing all his facial hair on a bet with his rider. Michael Craig right in front of Mike Brown, and the big question is, how long can Mike Brown hold on with that extremely painful thumb?
Well, once you've done a few laps and you're up in there, you can forget about it. The adrenaline, the concentration of what's going on, you don't think about it very much, but towards the end of the race, I think it's going to hurt quite a bit.
Interesting battle here is the fact that Steve Lamson has now moved all the way up to 7th position behind Chad Pedersen. The more Lammy moves up, the better chance for another overall victory. He has to get into 3rd position to capture another overall.
Looks like Pedersen gave him a little brake check right there and looks back over his shoulder. Like, who's this guy that caught me so quick? And then back behind these guys is Rayner. So Lamson and Rayner going 1-2 in the first moto, having to battle from behind in the second moto.
Lamson trying to keep a string alive of 4 consecutive overalls. He won the first 2 of the season, then dropped 2. But he has so dominated this 125 season, in great contrast to last year when he won it in the last moto against Ryan Hughes. Steve Lamson trying to move up the ladder after his basic winning style in Moto 1, that is hole shot and breakaway.
Well, he's proven that he can do it from behind. There he's just clearing his vision a little bit. And Wyndham's got clear sailing out front. He won't have any trouble with vision, but Lamson, I think, has the speed to work his way into 3rd. And if he can do it, he'll still get that overall. So it's not over yet. There's plenty of time for him to work his way up.
Wyndham coming off a fine effort at Unadilla, where he had a 4-1 for a 2nd overall, winning his 3rd moto of the year. Number 38 has shown us the speed. Once he gets the terrain down and has a good feel for the track, very few people can catch him.
Well, you can hear how early he gets on the gas through the corners, and off the jumps, he's wide open in the air, letting that thing rev. So when he makes contact with the ground, the bike just shoots away. Here he's coming into one of those 50 seconds again. That's where he was making up a lot of time.
Steve Lamson in 6th place now, pursuing Tim Ferry. Lammy coming off his very first win at Unadilla. 6 different riders have won motos this year. Pichon, Sheik, Dowd, Dobb, Wyndham, and of course Lamson. Is Lamson now in pursuit of Tim Ferry trying to get up to that third spot, and Lamson makes a nice inside move. Ferry gave him the space, and Lammy took advantage of it.
Ferry didn't leave much room. He's just taking the best line on the outside, and Lamson just squared right across. Looked like he was using that same line that Wyndham was using to make his move on the Damon Huffman earlier for the lead.
Last year here at Troy, Lammy was a 1-1. Just early battles was all that Lammy saw, because he took away with it in both motos last year.
It's better starts, though, that'll allow you to do that. Right now, I don't care how fast you are. I don't care if you're Jeremy McGrath or anybody. And with a bad start like that, you've got to work your way through so many riders that, of course, if you got Wyndham out front, you're probably never going to catch him unless he makes a huge mistake. That's unlikely.
Lamson keeps saying, I try not to focus at all on how many points I have in the lead. Just focus on the racing itself. Lamson has got a lot of ground to pick up, though, for the next pack of riders.
And he's on pace to do it. You can see that we've only been on this battle between Lamson and Ferry for about a half a lap now. He's already moved around Ferry and started to pull a little distance on him.
Mike Brown and Steve Lamson. Lamson trying to recover after a poor start. A mix-up in turn 1 put him back into double digits, and he's fighting now for a 4th place.
He moved right up on Mike Brown right there. He's able to go a little bit farther off some of the jumps. He doesn't have to worry about the landing being painful. And for Mike Brown right there, a little mistake. He knew Lamson was coming. He wasn't going to be much of a fight for him. Why not just get out of the way? It almost looked like he did it on purpose to me, Art.
An easy move for Steve Lamson, moving into 4th, but it is 3rd that he really wants, because if he gets the 1-3, he gets the overall. And that would mean 7 of the 9 overalls on the season.
That's pretty impressive. The guy is more dominant in the 125 class than Jeremy has been in the 250s, it seems, and looks like he's well on his way to another title.
Unlike Jeremy McGrath in the 250s, who has dominated, the riders behind Lamson haven't been able to really put anything together, so he has a big points advantage along with the domination.
Exactly. Emig has been second, third. He finally had an 8th at the last round in Unadilla when his bike got all bent up in a crash. But that happened to me when I was at the 500 Nationals in 1984. I won 16 motos out of 20. And up until the very last race of the season, Brock wasn't that far behind because I only gained 3 points each win. He kept getting second place. So for Lamson right here, it does look like he's got a huge lead. But for Jeremy in the 250 class, is still very close despite his dominance.
Kevin Wyndham on his way to winning this moto as he cuts through the cavernous rut right there.
Yeah, those are getting deeper, and there's the one he just used was the one on the inside where we saw in the first moto Lamson squared it on the opening lap. That's now the main line, and that rut has gotten deeper than the original one. So very tricky because you come into that and you can't see it till you're actually in it over the top of that little off camber.
Kevin looking for his 4th moto win. Marty Reed's in the mechanics area. Marty.
Allie, he must have read that little note you taped on the handlebars of the bike. Get hole shot and win. He's doing real well.
Yeah, he got a really good start, and he's riding smooth. We just got to hope Lammy does worse in 4th, but it doesn't look like it at the moment. He just passed Brown. He's in 3rd now, so we'll see how it goes. As long as Kevin does the best he can, that's all we can hope for.
Allie tried to advance Lamson 1 position too soon. He's actually in 4th position. Here we have our leader, Kevin Wyndham, though, and Damon Huffman a lonely 2nd place right now. Lamson will take on Michael Craig as we take a look at our Suzuki Field summary. Mike Brown still holding down the 5th spot. But this guy has been flawless out in front.
Up a little short that time. And just kind of elects to get through there smooth, not try to do anything fancy. He was jumping 4 of those jumps going into that corner a little earlier, but if you mess up the first 3, it ruins the rhythm for the rest of that section.
Lamson goes on the move. Whereas Wyndham is riding conservatively. For him, Lamson is on the edge.
You can see Lamson in the air looking over to see where Craig was, trying to see if he's gaining any time. He's riding as hard as he can. Goes all the way around the outside of those 2 ruts there. And make up a little time.
Here's a guy who's won 10 of 17 motos this year.
One thing's for sure, that Lamson's in shape, and he talked about the first moto having saved a little bit of energy. Why give it 100% when he had the kind of lead he did? And Craig faded back to 5th after running as high as 2nd. That's the guy he's chasing down right now. So if it comes down to energy, Lance has got the edge.
Let's go to Marty.
Goose, nothing like a little excitement. He needs 3rd place for the overall. He's closing.
Yeah, he's closing pretty good, like a 2nd or better a lap. So we should have enough laps to get by Mike, hopefully.
By my calculations, about 3 to 4, maybe 5 laps at most.
He's right on him right now, so hopefully another lap, he'll be in the position.
And let me guess, you want me to stop talking so you can watch him?
You know what? You can't really see anything here.
In some cases, the spectators have a better viewing of the races than the mechanics do. They have to stay in that designated mechanics area, and here, because it's so flat, they don't get a chance to see the riders. They just see their heads going by above the crowd. It's hard to get splits and different things to write down on the signal board before the riders come around again.
And they come right out of the woods before they hit that mechanics area, so you don't have a lot of time to get the board out there. Steve Lamson in 4th position currently, as Kevin Windham is our leader.
And Goslar seemed pretty confident that there were enough laps and the pace that Lamson had was going to take him up around Mike Craig. There you see Craig. If Craig just does everything right and hangs on to his lines, doesn't make any big mistakes, he should be able to hang on to it with the time remaining. But if you look back over the past and see what Craig has done, he's the kind of guy that will make mistakes and fade and ride fantastic for a few laps and then blow a couple. So we'll see what he does here.
Well, Lemmy gave it his best bet at Buchanan, trying to fight back into a 2nd place position, but Chad Pedersen surprised everybody, wouldn't let him have it.
He banged him around a little bit, and I think that could have been a case of Lamson just underestimating him. Sometimes the privateers, when they can smell that checkered flag, they'll do whatever they got to do to hold you back.
And the check afterwards. Michael Craig now. And an easy inside pass for Steve Lamson.
Another look. Craig comes in on the inside, can't stay in that berm. He hit it too abruptly to try to follow it around, and Lamson had it timed perfectly. He was on the outside and rolled right into the inside line, took it away. It was an easy pass for him.
So Steve Lamson is right where he wants to be to win the overall. Damon Huffman has a little space on him, and I don't know if he has time to catch him before this race is over.
He'll still keep pushing ahead, but he won't make any take any chances, I don't think. As long as he holds off Craig right here for the overall win, he'll be happy. He's done his job. He's come from a bad start, worked his way into an overall position. He's picked up points on everybody else in terms of the title, so he's done his job here today.
Yeah, if he were to finish just as he is now, he'll have a 108-point lead after this race. Kevin Windham, Huffman, and Lamson are top 3, with Craig and Brown rounding out the top 5. Nearing the end of Moto 2 for the 125s, and our Suzuki stopwatch ticks away. Windham, our leader, and 6.3 seconds is the lead, with Damon Huffman in 2nd place. Now, Huffman is starting to pick it up a bit.
He has. They were together in the beginning, then Windham got away and established that lead, but now towards the end, it's easy for the leader to go, okay, well, there's only a lap or 2 to go. Let me back it down just a little, and the guy in 2nd has nothing to lose. That's Huffman right here. He's charging 6 seconds. That's the type of a lead where he's going to be very visible for Huffman, and that's motivation to try a little extra hard.
Still not in the same camera shot as we look at the straightaway by the mechanics area. Damon Huffman is determined to pick up space on our leader, Kevin Windham. Well, that might be to the fans' disappointment, because the fans love it when Kevin's got a big lead. He likes to punctuate his lead with heel clickers. And, of course, it's a fan favorite. Here's Kevin.
Starting to use some different lines now. He came over that jump. Instead of getting to that inside berm, he went a little wider. He went wide there, too. So he's just trying to make it a little easier on himself now by having a little bit better run at some of these doubles. You can see that he's taking a little bit easy. It's going to make it easier for Huffman to make up time. For Windham right here, it's obvious that he's still got a good pace going, but
oh, the heel clicker.
You can see that he's starting to relax and have a little bit of fun now, and clearly underestimate Huffman, who has been a guy that's been out with injuries this season, and Windham hasn't seen a whole lot of him, has no idea how fast he can go in the closing stages of the race.
We'll see if he can make things interesting here in the close of Moto number 2, as Steve Lamson, all he has to do is coast in 3rd for his overall victory. Kevin Windham, though, has run a fine race, getting the lead early, just like Lanny did in Moto number 1, pulling it out, and relaxing most of the way.
Through that whoop section right there, Wyndham backed it down just a notch, and when you do that, you have to hit almost all of those bumps right there. So it took a little longer to get through there. It's a lot rougher when you slow your pace down.
Wyndham certainly making a statement this year that he has a lot of potential to become a superstar in this sport. And with showtime like that, he's going to have a lot of fans come his way. He looked back over his shoulder right there, David.
Yeah, he just wants to make sure that, well, you can see Huffman is pretty close. That's probably what the crowd's cheering about. And then just back over Huffman's shoulder, you got a glimpse of Lamson coming through. So that's really tightened up here.
It's about 3.5 seconds is all. Wyndham says, hey, where'd he come from?
He was out there goofing off a little bit, and he should. He led this moto and earned that right to go out there and show off a little bit, put on a show for the fans, but got a little close towards the end there.
You can see the intensity picked up a little bit now as he comes across at a slow pace for the checkered flag. Kevin Wyndham, our winner of Moto number 2, followed by Huffman, Lamson, Mike Brown, and Michael Craig, the top 5. A couple of privateers sneaking into the top 10 as we round it off. Let's go down to Marty now with our winner.
Well, obviously the message got through. Whole shot win, a good ride, and second overall, and you got to be real happy.
Yeah, I am. You know, that moto didn't quite go like I wanted to, even though I won. You know, I'm a little bit tired, but that track's really Supercross. You know, so 30 minutes on Supercross was a little bit tough. You know, I didn't ride as well as I did Unadilla, but everything worked out, and you know, I guess the message did get through. You know, I've been going 4-1 a lot this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was fun to watch, and it looked like at the end you were able to sort of mellow it out. You knew you had control of the race.
Yeah, you know, the last lap I started doing a little hill clicker, and they were a little close, you know, a little closer than I'd like them to be, but you know, the crowd's been asking me all day, so I had to go ahead and do one for them, and it'd be a little embarrassing if I crashed after I did one, but luckily I was able to hold on.
We'll see you next round.
Thanks a lot.
That's the second consecutive 4-1 finish for Kevin Wyndham. As we take a look at the overalls, Steve Lamson with the 1 and 3, Michael Craig in 5th position. But look at the heroic performance by our 10th rider, Mike Brown, with his injury. Let's go back to Marty now with our overall winner, a very happy Steve Lamson.
At least you made it very interesting for us. I know it's not the way you wanted it to go, but coming back from about 15th to 3rd in the overall.
I rode my butt off that moto. I mean, I didn't get a very good start. I almost went down a couple times. I was really lucky to get out of the first lap without going down, and I just charged the whole way. I knew where everyone was, and I knew what I had to do to get the overall. You know, I closed the gap pretty good from pretty far behind, so I'm really happy with my ride.
What I'm amazed at is everybody else looks like they're ready to fall over from the humidity, and you still look pretty fresh.
Yeah, I feel good. I could keep going. But
No. We're not going to do it anymore.
No, I really felt good, though. I mean, I've been training a lot with Jeff Stanton. He's been letting me stay at his house, and it's paying off. I've been trying really hard, and it's showing, definitely.
Well, don't get me wrong, I'd like to do it, but we're out of time.
Yeah, all right, that's good.
Lamson's on his way to the 125's all-time dominating season, leading by 108 points. You have to go all the way back to 78 when Brock Glover won the title by 110 points. Marty?
This is definitely one of the gutsiest performances we've seen in quite a while. How's the thumb, and how did you manage to make it go?
Just pure craziness, I guess. I mean, I wanted to race. I ain't coming up here to finish second to nobody. I'm out here just to prove them every weekend, and it seems like every weekend I come out here, little things happen to me, put me in the back, but all I got to say is next year will be my year.
Do us a favor, go to the doctor now and get this thing stitched up.
All right, thanks.
Lamson dominating moto number 1, Wyndham dominating number 2. I'd like to see them battle together, bike to bike.
Well, I'd like to see that too, but Wyndham's going to have to get off the line consistently, and I think that for next week, they just need to leave that piece of tape on his handlebar. It says whole shot and win. Just leave it there and do good in the first moto too.
He's moved into second place in the points as we see him do his patented heel clicker, Kevin Wyndham. Brian Deegan getting the school money as the top privateer in our 125s. Lamson, Wyndham, and Huffman on the podium. We'll be back with the 250s in a moment. Riders at the starting line now. Jeff Hemming starting to rev things up. And let's go to Marty Reed.
One of the interesting characteristics of Kenworthy Motocross Park is the abundance of trees, but it creates a dilemma. A lot of sunshiny areas that lead into a very dry section of racing, but then you come into the trees where there's plenty of shade, where it's still very wet. Take a look at some of the tire choice combinations. On Jeremy McGrath's bike, notice how much gap there is here? These will work better in the muddy area. Then go over to Jeff Emmett right here. He's got it set up pretty much for a drier combination. We'll see which setup is the one that's successful.
Of course, Jeremy likes to go with the Dunlop tires and Emig with the Bridgestones. Once out on the racetrack, they're about the same, but off the start, Emig's been hooking up with that Bridgestone.
Jeremy McGrath, despite 5 overall wins and dominating each moto, has only a 47-point lead on Jeff Emig. Emig's real nemesis was that 8th place moto finish at Unadilla, David.
That was unfortunate. Sign is sideways. This guy's about ready to go.
And they're off for Moto 1 and the 250s underway. Let's see who hooks up the best. It's Jeff Emig on his truck number 2. John Sebastian Roy is also up there near 2nd place.
This is one of the faster starts of the season. Jeremy gets a little cross-rutting, almost goes down right there.
In 2nd place now, Greg Albertine of Team Suzuki, right behind Emig. So it is Emig, Albertine, Roy, and Jeremy McGrath on the inside. On the outside, there's Larry Ward, number 6. So Honda of Troy has one in the lead group.
Looks like Larry Ward had a shot at moving into 2nd there for a moment, but it's going to be tough getting around Greg Albertine. Greg grabbed a handful of throttle off the backside of that tunnel jump, moving into 2nd.
Smooth inside move by Jeremy McGrath, moving into 3rd place quickly.
He's slick. I don't know if he got it. I think Larry Ward stole it away from him again, but he sure let him know he was there. Albertine and McGrath both. These guys are so fast in the opening laps, but Jeff Emig has been fantastic off the gate. I haven't been keeping track of his hole shot, but he's gotten a bunch of them here lately.
Glad you asked, David. That's his 3rd consecutive hole shot, but of course he's king of the hole shots as far as the season is concerned.
Well, he's been consistent off the gate. Even when he doesn't get the hole shot, he's right there. Just as you pointed out a little earlier, though, that 8th place at Unadilla, he had the hole shot and went down the 1st lap. So his opportunities from up front have been many.
There you see Hughes just going by. As we have Emig, Albertine, Ward, and McGrath, the top 4 riders. McGrath making his move once again on Larry Ward.
There wasn't much room right there. Larry just drifted over into that outside berm, left just enough for McGrath. He knows that he's got to get around everybody quick. Otherwise, he'd be following Larry Ward for 2 or 3 more laps. Now it'll allow Emig to get away. Pulls a tearaway right there. The front end washed out just a little bit. That's why these guys wait till they get to a jump. They don't have to worry about the bike dancing around while they clear their vision.
Emig has been able to beat Jeremy McGrath at least 1 moto over the last 2 events. McGrath is dominating as he's been with 5 wins and 13 moto victories. Still needs more points to feel safe in the championship points race.
Now he's opened up a little gap over Larry Ward and closed it right in on Albertine. So now Albertine, who's coming off of an overall win, perhaps a little confidence booster, seems to be a little bit more patient these days. He's learning what it takes to run with these guys consistently throughout the moto, but see if he can handle this pressure from Jeremy.
Number 16, getting the first Suzuki overall victory in 15 years.
I see that incredible balance there from Jeremy as he went over the top of that jump, realized he was a little bit too far to the inside. Rather than moving the bike, he just changed his body, almost grazed the tires with his shoulder there just to stay on line and not lose any speed.
But look at Jeff Emig has picked up some streamers, the flags.
Looked like he got him around that right-hander coming out of the woods there. He drifted a little wide. That's actually a good line out there, but picked up the banners. So now maybe he's not going to have a rear brake here pretty quick.
Look at Albertine. He doesn't know whether to ride on it and take him out of it maybe, or miss it.
Well, it's going to mess up his concentration, that's for sure. You know what happens when somebody yanks the carpet out from underneath you. That's what could happen to Albertine.
Let's go to Marty.
Jeremy, the cameras have picked up something. It looks like a streamer that's caught up inside the wheel, the rear wheel of Jeff's bike. Are you aware of it, or are you worried about it?
We're aware of it. We've seen it. I've seen it going behind the bike, but we think it's on the sprocket side. They're going to check it out right now. That's what I was doing on the headset, was finding out. But they're starting to say it's in the brakes, but I don't think it is. Hope not, anyway.
What happens if it's in the brake?
It'll start melting on there, and then it breaks. Will probably go away for a few laps, but hopefully it's not on there.
They're keeping their fingers crossed down here.
Well, that should bring some concern, whether it's on the brake side or not, because if it's on the sprocket side, that could get in there and throw the chain. So either way, I don't think Emig really knows it's back there right now, but he will the first time he steps on the brake pedal. There's no brake.
Yes. That's a surprise, surprise. Here's the real battle now for second place. Greg Albertine trying to hold on as Jeremy McGrath is showing him all kinds of look-sees. He gets that red fender out there in that peripheral vision to say, hey, I am here.
Well, Albertine knows how many times Jeremy has caught it past him, so that's going to be in his memory. However, lately, he's been running about the same pace. So I think the odds are in Jeremy's favor to probably work his way around Albertine, but I don't know, it depends on how bad he wants it. Oh, a little mistake right there is all it took.
And a nice jump for Jeremy, making a clean pass of it as he picks the rut to drive through. Jeremy McGrath now in second place. So it's Emig, McGrath, and Albertine. Can he catch Emig? He's got lots of time. It's Mike LaRocco starting to move up through the pack. You see Ryan Hughes, number 5, and they are pursuing Honda of Troy's Brian Swink.
LaRocco just cuts right across in front of him. He earned that, man. He was going outside, inside, trying to go anywhere he could not to follow, and paid off for him.
LaRocco moving into 5th spot. He's been in the top 5 since Glen Helen. The highlight so far of Mike's season is 2nd overall at Mount Morris, registering a 2-3.
Right now, he's looking pretty good. He seems to have a little bit faster pace than these other two guys. I think Hughes is capable of going fast, too, for the entire moto, that is. Swink is quick. He won't make it easy for these guys. He's the kind of guy that can get right back in there and pass LaRocco back, throw him out of his timing, and will make it tough for Hughes as well, but Hughes is a fighter. He will never give up on Swink.
A situation for Swink as well that he has not signed for next year. There is still one position open for Honda of Troy, maybe, with the signing of Mike Kudrowski, Larry Ward, and Michael Craig. It leaves Swink out in the cold so far.
It's even a little colder because he's had one of his worst seasons lately, and Ryan Hughes gets around him, out breaks him into the corner through the mechanics area. And if you're Swink right now, you're just thinking, okay, maybe there's still a chance to get signed if I put together some really strong rides. So every race from here on out is important for him.
Ryan Hughes, nice job here last year in the 125s. He had a 2-2 behind Lamson's sweep. Jeff Emig, our leader, with Jeremy McGrath in 2nd place, playing catch-up right now. And here's Ryan Hughes, who has passed LaRocco during our commercial break. He is in 5th, but he wants the 4th spot, currently held by Larry Ward, and is putting the heat on Ward.
Looks like he's going to get it, too, the way he's caught it. He's turned up the heat. Ryan is quick. He's a strong finisher. I think between these two guys, Larry's motivated. He's always done well here. He had a good ride in the 2nd moto last week at Unadilla, but Hughes is tough, and he's going to fight him all the way to the end. That's a lot of pressure to deal with.
Well, it's obviously Ryan Hughes is feeling a lot better and stronger as he has had to condition himself during the races, really.
Well, it's kind of a nice luxury to have. I mean, there's not really anything that he's going for in terms of the title for the rest of the season, so he's just sort of racing his way back into shape. He's getting a little bit stronger as the season continues. Like I said, this is his first season on 250, and he's just learning as much as he can, so next year hopefully he can win a title.
Ward really reaching a season's peak right about now, as Hughes gets the inside draw in the corner and moves into 4th.
Hughes just set it up, coming out of that right-hander before the pass. He just positioned himself to the inside, got up alongside of Larry Ward, and wasn't much Larry could do, but just try to jump the double clean, and Ryan was in the way, so he had to just concede.
Ward getting a slow start on the Supercross season with a broken thumb. Finally reached a peak during the Supercross season, and then a big lull, really, in getting the outdoor season underway.
Now you can see LaRocco got a 2nd wind here. He doesn't like getting passed. He's typically the guy that's doing all the passing, coming from, let's say, compared to all the other top riders, LaRocco of all of them probably gets the worst starts consistently. And he used to working his way up through the pack. Right here getting passed by Hughes. Hughes showed him a way around Larry Ward, see if he can do the same thing. Larry's got a lot of company here.
LaRocco doing a nice job on the long jumps. Right on the back bumper of Larry Ward. You know, it really makes it interesting, too, this meandering through the trees. You have to use some finesse, not your power.
Well, you don't want to hit a tree. You can see they've got them all hay baled off. They're pretty much out of the way and off the side of the racetrack enough. So you got a little extra cushion there if you get out of control. But it is nice. Like Marty said, you go in and out of the shade. Some of the areas of the track are a little softer, a little tackier. You get better traction. Then you move out into these sections where you can see it gets a lot drier and a little more slick. It requires more finesse.
Morocco looking for his opportunity with Larry Ward. And he finds it, but Ward comes streaming back.
Well, Morocco has been excellent at looking for different lines and making them work. Every time he's behind a rider, you can see he's not following, and there's a little something different right there. He's getting through that section pretty quick.
Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed as we take a look at our leader here in Moto #1, Jeff Emig. A lot of people gave Emig static for being a bridesmaid. In the first 7 races of the season, he had 2 wins and 5 second-place finishes. Only 1 moto win, but he has stayed close to Jeremy McGrath all the way. Jeff Emig has played a huge role in this year's Supercross and motocross seasons. For one thing, he's been known as the streak breaker, interrupting Jeremy McGrath's historic win streak. It's been a career charged with highs and lows. For Jeff Emig, lackluster season beginnings are a frustrating reality.
The crowd goes bananas. Is down is Jeff Emig. Oh my goodness.
But rhythmic improvement is also standard for the 26-year-old Kawasaki rider.
It is Jeff Emig.
I don't believe it, Art. I don't think Emig does either.
With 8 motos remaining in the Outdoor National Championship, there is still a very good chance for Jeff to upset rival Jeremy McGrath for the title. Playing catch-up is growing tiresome, and he wants that title no matter what. But even Jeff himself is unsure as to why catch-up is the standard for his image. And with his switch to the green team, he knew there were expectations to live up to.
At the beginning of '96, when I switched to ride a Team Kawasaki, both my teammates were riding extremely well. You know, Damon Huffman and Ryan Hughes, those guys, they were really hungry. Me, on the other hand, I wasn't doing so hot. I don't know why the beginning of the year for me is so tough. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I mean, I was trying to focus on what I thought that I had to do rather than just going out and doing it. I guess I'm just not very good at just having the lead. Like, I always ride better when I have to play catch up.
But now Jeff realizes that the year is almost over, and although he's been able to stop McGrath in some of this season's battles, the mission is far from being over.
St. Louis Supercross was really, it was another one of those really moving races. You know, some people, you know, like McGrath and Stanton and stuff, you know, they put together years of winning Supercrosses, and you know, but that one Supercross, I mean, it felt like I'd won the world that day. Then I knew that my training and my riding was back up to par, you know, where it should be. And I won Mount Morris. I didn't win a moto, but I was real consistent, and I rode real hard that day. I gave it 100%, and I came away with the overall. And then I went on and I've won the Redbud. It's like a magical place for me. I go there. I've won a moto there every year for the past 6 years. I needed that race this year, you know, to go fast again and to prove to myself and to all the other riders that I was going to win, and that McGrath just wasn't going to take every race.
Emig knows the focus and hard work it takes to win.
Oh my God.
He also realizes all work and no play means burnout.
Well, on the weekends off that we've had this summer, I really stayed away from the motorcycle some, and you know, went to Lake Havasu, spent some time with my girlfriend Lonnie. I've been kind of tasting all of the fruits of life.
Basically, what it amounts to is that I hang out with my friends. Chad Pedersen, Ryan Hughes, Denny Stevenson. You know, you got Phil Lawrence, and you got my mechanic, Jeremy. We're all here.
national title and 4 appearances on the U.S. Motocross the Nations team. Sounds like a pretty good resume, but it's not good enough for Jeff Emig.
I've started from the very bottom level, and I've made it all the way up to where I'm at now. I guess, in another 5 years, people are going to ask me, wow, did you think that you could win a Supercross championship and this and that? I mean, providing that I do. I'm going to say, wow, I never, I'm just going with the flow. I'm just doing what I know how to do best, and that's ride a motorcycle.
Last year at this time, Emig trailed this man, Jeremy McGrath, by only 19 points. Emig taking a 3rd overall with a 2-3. Jeremy really strutting his stuff here last year.
Well, it's a Supercross style racetrack, so if he's going to strut, this is the best place to do it. Although his timing through that big monster double jump section back there just looked a little off. He kind of was on the brakes real hard before one, landed a little short, and then he jumped a little bit too far past the other one. So it's hard to say. I mean, each lap they come through there, it's a little bit different. But that time in particular, it didn't look like it was as fast as possible way.
Jeremy McGrath in 2nd place behind Jeff Emig. He's coming off 2 consecutive 2nd place overall finishes. Uncharacteristic this season of Jeremy McGrath.
Anything when he doesn't win seems kind of uncharacteristic after the way he started out the season.
So it's Emig, McGrath, and Albertine now in 3rd with Ryan Hughes in 4th. But Jeff Emig, number 2, is just unwilling to slow up for Jeremy McGrath. We're on a final lap right now. And Jeremy's just been unable to really challenge him, actually.
Well, Emig has done well enough this season by finishing 2nd so much. There you go. It's like a little half knack there, not quite a full. But if he's able to hold on to this moto win right here, this would be the 3rd week in a row, or 3rd race in a row where he's been able to win a moto. He's got 2 overalls on the season, and he could be heading for another one here today. So Emig really starting to look good, and the confidence coming with it.
I think the big thing, David, is he's been able to, once he gets out in front now, he knows that he can stay out there and focus ahead, not worry about Jeremy McGrath, which was the case maybe last year and the beginning of this year.
And understandably so, because Jeremy caught him so quickly at so many races and kept catching him from behind and winning. I think he was always thinking about, okay, I need to have this big of a lead so that Jeremy can't catch me, and he'd be looking over his shoulder. Now he just not intimidated by Jeremy. He's beaten him enough times and edged him out for a couple of overalls, so know that he is beatable and not think about it. Just get the job done.
Emig, McGrath, 1st and 2nd, with Albertine in 3rd. We don't want to ignore Albertine, who's been consistent there.
He's learning. He's going faster and faster. He's hanging with these guys. He couldn't quite hang with Jeremy in this moto, but hey, don't try to go so fast hanging with him that you fall down and end up, 12th instead of a 3rd. Stay in a position where you can get some points in the series, perhaps pick up an overall if things work out that way in the 2nd moto.
Emig's teammate Hughes in 4th position, and Rocco would round out the top 5 here on our final lap. But Jeff Emig, extremely popular with the motocross fans.
He does a lot to make sure of that. He does a lot of showing off, and he acknowledges the fans. He'll be hanging around long after the race to sign an autograph.
A big victory for Jeff Emig here in Moto number 1, as Emig, McGrath, Albertine, Hughes, and Rocco hold true on that final lap, finishing in the top 5. Good finish for Swink and Roy. Marty's with our winner right now. Let's go to Marty Reed.
What can we say? That was a very impressive run.
Yeah, I could see that those guys were right behind me off the start, and I just pulled a great hole shot again. I mean, the Kawasaki hooked up with the Bridgestone tires, the combinations that we have out of the gate are just great. I just watched McGrath and everybody else I just watched them disappear about 10 feet out.
I wanted to ask you about tires, because right before the start of the race, we pointed out the difference in the tire combinations that you and Jeremy had picked, and obviously, from what you're saying, you think you got the right one.
Yeah, well, I'm real happy with the Bridgestones that they're supplying us. We did a lot of testing with them this year, and they've got some really great tires for these outdoor races.
Believe it or not, this is the first 2nd place that Jeremy has placed in a moto all season long, to go with 13 wins. Marty's with him.
Jeremy, right before the start of the race, we were checking tire combinations. Notice a big difference between yours and Jeff's. How much of a part did that play in this one?
Well, probably not much. Tires make a difference, but this track has so much traction that tires probably don't make that much here.
What was the key for you? Just the start again?
Yeah, I didn't get such a good start. I came out about 4th or something, passed Larry Ward, passed a couple guys on the first lap, and and I was just a little slow in the back section. It's slippery all around, and maybe I just wasn't having some good lines, but Jeff was riding a little bit better that time.
What are you going to do different for the second moto?
Well, I'm going to try and get myself more motivated and make a few changes to the bike, and should be about it. Come out and tough it out.
Number 16, Greg Albertine, coming off the overall victory at Unadilla, did himself proud with a third-place finish, and Marty's with him now.
I know you probably aren't as happy as you should be with third place, but it was a good follow-up to what's happened the last week at Unadilla.
Absolutely, it's contract time now, and I've been trying so hard for the last year and a half, and that's what's been putting me on the ground a lot. So now I just, I was going out there, and Emig was going really well, and McGrath was pushing me, so, instead of trying to go over my limit, I just rode a smart race, and, Jeremy passed me, and I just tried to hang with him, but the humidity's pretty tough out here. It's really hot.
What can you do differently for the second moto? Do you have to wait for them to make a mistake, or is there something you can change in the bike or within yourself?
Well, at this level, the guys don't make too many mistakes, and, it's something I've got to do, just put that extra bit more effort in and, save myself for the second moto.
It was evident in moto number 1 that Jeff Emig is unwilling to concede the title to Jeremy McGrath. He's hanging close all the way.
He's going to make him earn it, and if Jeff doesn't earn the 250 title, he's got to get something. We got to give him something for the best hole shots of the season. This guy has been incredible off the gate.
What about Jeremy McGrath now? He's shown us he can come back in the second moto.
Well, I think maybe he's planning on doing that, because in the first moto, it seemed like once he got into second, he put his head down and went hard for a couple laps. Didn't make up any time on Emig, and I think it looked like he just kind of backed off, and he's hoping that second moto is going to be a little different story.
Albertine using his head.
Finally, I think now that he's got a moto win and an overall win, he's starting to back off, and that's what it takes. You have to learn how to win, and sometimes that means backing off a little bit.
This is a tough sport. There's no question about that. Supercross, you've got 20 laps, and it takes a lot of nice technique out there for show. But then in motocross, 2 30-minute motos.
Well, I think it's a lot tougher, especially because you're outdoors. This is the time of the year where it's a little bit hotter. It's obviously a lot longer. You've got time between motos. The track changes a little bit, and this is basically a huge Supercross track, and Supercross is only a 20-lap final. Here you got 30 minutes plus 2 laps twice, so it's going to take its toll.
Jeff Emig in moto number 1, a little bit lucky with those streamers wrapping up that he didn't lose his brakes. Marty Reed gives us an update.
Well, we wanted to show you what was left of that streamer that got caught up in Jeff Emig's wheel. You can see that they really got lucky here from the standpoint of, you can see where some of the paint is peeled off, but it did not get jammed up into the caliper. If that would have happened, as Jeremy Albrecht talked about during the race, it would have been a real mess for him. And I guess the question is, Jeremy, how lucky do you feel?
Well, I feel real lucky. I used up one of my lives, so I guess I got 8 left, and he didn't even know it was in there, so that was really nice. He said he seen the banners were there, next lap he came around and they were gone, but he didn't know where they went. So
he didn't mention it in the post-race interview like there was no problem. In fact, he was talking about how great the tires were.
Yeah, he had no idea. He didn't even know it was in there, so we definitely had a good race.
Well, every now and then the brakes have to go your way, and I guess I ought to give this to you. You might want to frame it if you win this one.
Okay, thanks.
Good job.
Thanks.
Well, he got a mechanic to smile in the pits between motos. That's quite an accomplishment.
Anytime your rider wins, you got something to smile about. That was a huge distraction for Greg Albertine, too, having to chase that banner around. It's like stepping on the back of somebody's shoe and giving them a flat.
Moto 2, they're revving up, ready to go. Let's see if Emig can get another hole shot. He sure has put the traction down to get him recently. The chase to the first turn, and guess who? Number 2, Emig. But Jeremy, once again, is right there.
A little bit better than this first moto. He had to work his way through a few riders, including Larry Ward, to get into second the first moto, but here he's right on Emig.
Emig, McGrath, 1 and 2. As the order starts to change behind those two, it'll come out Larry Ward, number 6. Hughes, a good start, number 5, just to the left of Ward, and that's Albertine to the right, number 16.
Right away, Jeremy not following, electing to take this a little different line than Emig everywhere. He wants to show him a wheel, and he wants to keep Emig guessing.
Emig trying to protect his line with Jeremy McGrath, anxious to take the lead early, and does so to the inside.
It looks like Emig's going to lose another spot, too. Albertine sneaks around, follows Jeremy around. Emig not going to give it up, though. They're still banging. Look at, they get stuck.
It looks like Albertine has taken over second. Yes, he has. Team Suzuki, number 16, Greg Albertine. Larry Ward in third.
Now this is where Jeremy really shines, gets out front early, pulls that tearaway. He's got the confidence to go wide right there. Knew he had enough of the lead to protect it over Albertine, and Albertine getting tangled with Emick. Emick got the short end of the stick there. I don't see him coming through. He lost a lot of positions. There he is on the outside.
Bradshaw, number 28, in front of Hughes. Here's LaRocco, number 8. Mid-pack, number 13, Phil Lawrence, a privateer.
Not too bad of a start for LaRocco. At least he can see the leaders. They all seem to be running about the same pace in the early laps, so he won't lose too much time on Jeremy.
Be interesting to see if number 6, Larry Ward, can hold his position or better his position to possibly move up on the podium.
Bradshaw up in there this moto. He's got a pretty good start. Right behind Larry Ward. Bradshaw been a little quiet lately. We haven't got our cameras on him for one reason or another. He's been coming from bad starts, but certainly on the pace.
It's Hughes in front of Emick, so once Emick lost the lead, he just went backwards quickly.
Now you wonder a little off balance there. You can see how that rut is so difficult. You don't see it until you get up around that corner, so it takes incredible balance to get in there straight. Because of the overall points for today and for the championship, it's interesting to see if Kawasaki gives Hughes a signal if in fact he's still ahead of his teammate when they come around the mechanics area, because Emick could follow Hughes around for a couple of laps, lose a little bit of time. Not that Hughes is going slow, but he needs to get around and try to get this overall. That would be a smart decision by Kawasaki if they were to do something like that.
Right now, Larry Ward in third, but it's Jeremy McGrath. He's got a string going. He's won at least one moto in every event this year. We'll see if he can cap it off here today. Check number 28 out, Damon Bradshaw. Rather uneventful season with 2 exceptions. A podium third place finish at Glen Helen. The second place moto at Southwick. Jeremy McGrath, Albertine, Ward, Bradshaw. And then Hughes, number 5, with his teammate Jeff Emick behind him. I think it's interesting now as Emick tries to make a move right here. But Hughes hasn't gotten those orders.
Yeah, he couldn't do it. Now look at all the time.
And Jeremy McGrath went down. This changes the whole complexion of things. Albertine is our new leader.
Well, Jeremy just let the front end wash out. That's one of the slickest places on the racetrack. Sharp little left-hander threw kind of an off camber, and his front wheel apparently went over that rut and just washed out. It was in a place, though, where he was able to get up quickly and didn't lose that much time. But can you imagine had Emick moved around his teammate Hughes? He'd be a little bit closer to Jeremy right now, and that overall would still look like a real possibility.
How lucky is it that you're able to keep that motor running so you can get right up and going again?
Well, he'd have lost all these spots had he kept it, not kept it running. So, yeah, he's very lucky.
Albertine has taken over the lead, but Jeremy McGrath is pursuing. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
John, the team was saying they wanted a podium. It looks like right now Larry's got the best chance.
Yeah, he showed really strong the first moto. If he has a bad moto, it's usually his first moto. He ended up 6th, so 6-3. I'm not sure. I didn't check the math between motos, but it should be able to get him up there 4th or 3rd, I think.
Well, he's still in contact with the lead too, Albertine and Jeremy.
Yeah, for sure. I think McGrath made a mistake somewhere, and that let Albie get by him, and those two had a battle with each other to figure out who was going to lead the race, and Larry caught up to him, so hopefully he'll be able to do something right on their tail now.
Well, the complexion has certainly changed as Jeremy McGrath tried to come back now on Greg Albertine. To the right, Jeremy McGrath in the jump section. Makes things look a little easy, even though he jammed that last one. Looks back to see where Greg Albertine is.
He knows he's got enough breathing room right there. And, you know, it's amazing the resolve Jeremy has to fall down like that, get up, regather himself that quickly, move around. A very fast Albertine is back into the lead. This could really make the difference today for him getting an overall.
So Jeremy McGrath regains the lead after uncharacteristically going down to the dirt.
You know, Jeremy's, the only thing he seems to lack this season at times is his motivation. He's openly said to us after losing some of these motos that, well, I just wasn't motivated out there. Between motos, he makes that adjustment, comes out ready to fight.
Mike LaRocco going down here in Moto 2. He's already got a sore shoulder.
I thought he was going to collect those banners, but he was able to get away without sucking into the wheel. But for Jeremy, I think he's got that added motivation between motos. Then he fell down. I think he irritated himself a little bit more. Now he's real motivated. Pulled out a pretty good lead.
Honda Troy fans have got to be jumping up and down because Larry Ward is putting the heat on second place Greg Albertine.
Larry Ward is looking good in this moto. He faded back a little bit in the first moto, but here he's looking strong. He's always ridden well here. He likes the Supercross style racetracks, and he's definitely staying in contact with Albertine. Emick has moved around Ryan Hughes and is putting the pressure on both these guys. The only way Emick could get the overall here today is to get up there and pass Jeremy for the win. So Jeremy's doing what he needs to do to pad his points lead and to pick up another overall this season.
If two riders tie in the placement of the motos, then it's the second moto that breaks the tie. So that's why Emig would have to beat Jeremy McGrath to take the overall. It is McGrath, Albertine, Ward, Emig, and Ryan Hughes are top 5.
There you see, looks like Emig's mechanic, Jeremy Albright, ride to win. There's really nothing else out there for him. He's got to ride to win. He's got to beat Jeremy this moto. If he gets second in this moto, which would be a great ride, he's still going to tie on points.
Gets hung up there with Larry Ward, losing valuable time to Jeremy McGrath, who doesn't have such an obstacle.
Well, he already got tied up with Albertine, and now he's fighting for a line with Larry Ward. Ward is not going to give it up.
He gives him a nice little bump there.
Yeah, he had to go out into that plowed up dirt and almost lost that spot to Ryan Hughes again.
Larry Ward hanging in there, looking for his best finish of the season.
He doesn't care who's back there. He doesn't care what Emig's trying to do, or who's going to get the overall. He just knows he wants to go as fast as he can, not let anybody by.
With podium position still to be determined as we take a look at the Honda field summary, McGrath, Albertine, and Ward in a good position. As Jeremy McGrath is inching out his lead with Albertine, number 16, in second. Larry Ward really holding on nicely to third. In fact, he's putting the challenge to Albertine right now for second place. That would put the Honda Troy Black on a podium. If he could hold on to second place, Larry Ward.
Great move. He came over that double jump, knew he needed to be a little bit closer to the inside, and stuck his leg out there for a little counterbalance. He's only able to do that double right there. Albertine does the triple, almost gets him back, but it's like Larry to hold on to that inside line. Those long legs really pay off through a section like that.
Ward, Albertine, Emig, and Hughes, 2 through 5.
What a great battle for second. Jeremy wasn't out here. It'd be a great battle for the lead anyway. He's kind of spoiling it, and it just shows how good the guy is. I mean, he fell down in this moto, got up, now he's got a big lead. These guys are battling for second.
But there's nothing to say he might not go down again.
True, and that's what they got to hope for. If you're Emig, you want to give it everything you got. Just like his mechanic said, race for the win. You never know what can happen, and in most cases, applying a little pressure will force things to happen.
Larry Ward, a comfortable second place now, as Albertine really hasn't been able to come back on him. But Emig is looking for any opportunity to move into third.
I love that camera shot right there. You see how close those guys get and how they have to actually lean the bike out around the inside corner marker and keep their body leaned into the corner just to have enough room to get through there in that berm.
Hughes and Emig look like caged animals behind Albertine here.
Well, Albertine is, I think, amongst some of the top riders, a little bit scary to ride near or around or behind, because if you look at his season, he has been known to throw it away. You don't want to get caught up in it, but it looks to me like right here, Albertine's riding very smooth. He timed all those jumps nice. Didn't even have to put his leg out for that corner. Just put it all together. It looks to me like he's trying to conserve a little energy, though, and that might be a mistake right here.
Emig makes the slick move to the inside after an outside swing. Emig, who got the whole shot in both motos, but in this moto had to come from behind. Slipping back to 6th place, has now moved up to 3rd.
He got through that berm fantastic. You see Albertine got out of there and his front wheel was way to the inside. So he was actually sliding through that berm, scrubbing off a little speed. So Emig, great balance through there. You see he already pulled away just a few bike lengths there from Albertine. And it's little sections like that through the berm, staying in it exactly right and hooking up with all the power to the ground that make the difference all the way around the racetrack.
Not all great riders have that ability to hit a spot exactly.
No, and I can remember an interview with Hannah talking about Kevin Windham, saying this kid can come off a huge triple jump and hit a line, this big, holding his fingers up like 4 inches wide. He could never do that. So for Emig, he's got great balance, and he's not only got the determination, but the finesse and the talent to go along with it.
Ward is hot right now. Larry Ward is doing all the right things. We caught up with him before the race.
Well, this track's always been one of my favorite tracks. I've always had some good results here, and last week it was a lot of fun. I got the good start. I led for a long time, and then once Jeremy did get by me, I stayed right there with him for a long time. So it definitely gave myself a lot more confidence outdoors. I have a ton of confidence on a Supercross style track, but outdoors, I lack a little, and that definitely boosted me a lot. This track's outdoor, but yet it has a lot of Supercross sections, so I'm looking forward to it today. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, it's a lot more fun being where he is right now with a chance to hit the podium.
Yeah, anytime you're having a good moto, of course it's fun out there. Looks like Emig working his way around the lapper. He's still not making much time on Larry Ward. He's still got a comfortable lead, and it looks to me like right now he's just having a good time. It shows, and he's got his eyes more set on Jeremy McGrath than worrying about Emig coming up from behind.
I wonder if he's got any bonus money on this one, if a Honda of Troy bike and their home track
wouldn't surprise me.
Gets a chance on that.
Hey, whatever it takes to motivate these guys, I'm sure it's worth it. But then you set a standard, and these guys are looking for it elsewhere too.
Damon Bradshaw zipping through our camera range. Number 28. Here's number 16, Albertine. What an up and down day it's been competitive-wise for him. Jeremy McGrath leading our moto number 2 for the 250s at Kenworthy.
Can't keep a good man down. Every time he has a bad moto, he comes right back to win the next one, or get the overall, or both. And it's just been amazing. He's won a moto, I guess, right? It's every single race this season, he's at least won a moto there. Today, it looks like he's going to get the overall to boot.
This would be his 6th overall victory on the season.
I'll go right back to saying, if we stop action Jeremy anywhere around the racetrack, it looks like he means business, like he's in a real hurry. Look how far forward he is right there. It's in the later stages of the race where he doesn't have to be aggressive. Look at him. He's just charging so hard. He jumps way past where everyone else lands, comes into that corner real quick, lays it over, gets on the gas quick. Look at him. He's just charging everywhere like it's the first lap.
Going back to last year, Jeremy had 11 consecutive moto wins, 6 consecutive overalls before Mount Morris of this year. He won 3 straight this season, of course, but took a 3rd at Mount Morris with a 5-1. Didn't take him long to get back, though, with 2 wins and then 2 second-place overalls before this race here, which would give him another overall victory.
That was pretty slick, too. He came over that jump there just before a little stair-step uphill. I don't know what you want to call it, a little staircase section going up, and he just stayed on the gas and held a wheelie all the way into it so he could kind of pre-jump off the top. The guy just has neat little techniques everywhere around the racetrack that not only faster but save energy.
It's a long way back to Ward in 2nd place, but Ward now is getting a challenge from Emig.
We'll see what Larry Ward's made of right here. This is his place. He likes it. Emig's going to have to earn it. As long as he stays in his lines and doesn't make any mistakes, he should be able to hang on to 2nd here.
Now, this will be interesting because Emig, of course, would not lose any points to Jeremy McGrath if he could take 2nd place. Whoa. Oh, Emig almost went flying off.
Now, he's had to work for this, everything he's got in this moto, getting tangled early with Albertine, having to come up from behind, battle with his teammate. Little mistake right there, just going for the last-ditch effort to try to get around a motivated Larry Ward right now, and it's not going to be easy.
McGrath about 5 to 6 seconds ahead of Larry Ward.
Not that far behind Jeremy McGrath right here. McGrath has let up just a little bit in these closing laps, and maybe just a little too much. Look at them, they're very close.
Well, anything could happen, that's for sure. It happens very quickly in motocross. McGrath, Ward in 2nd, Emig a close 3rd.
Emig just flew off that jump right there. He jumped half again or twice as far as everyone else has been jumping. He's doing everything he can. You can see he wants this back. Doesn't want to lose any more points to Jeremy. He's given it everything he has today, and he's still going to lose points to Jeremy, who had a real lackadaisical first moto, in his own words.
Yeah, non-motivated. And it looked like he was such as he came across the finish line with the checkered flag waving. Jeremy looks back, gives the thumbs up to the interview area, so Marty doesn't have to walk too far.
Kind of a mini fist pump there for Skip. Well, yeah, we got it done. It wasn't pretty, but we did it.
McGrath, Ward, Emig, Hughes a 4th, and Greg Albertine hanging on for a 5th place. LaRocco in 6th, Damon Bradshaw. Not a bad performance by Damon in 7th. Kyle Lewis, Bill Lawrence, and Brian Swink rounding out our top 10. As far as the overall, once again, it's Jeremy. With Jeff Emig in 2nd, Larry Ward, the first podium ever for a Honda of Troy rider, and what a great place to have that happen.
That's got to make Phil Allerton happy, the owner of Honda of Troy. What a great place for them to have a great finish like that from Larry Ward. And next season looks like it's going to be even a better one. They're going to keep Larry Ward. Looks like Michael Craig will stay with him, and can't wait to see how Mike Kudrowski's going to fare.
But today, this young man wears the crown. He has a 47-point lead now, as you saw, as far as the championship race, with Millville, Washougal, Binghamton, and Delmont left on the season. Art Ekman for David Bailey and Marty Reed and our entire crew, thanks for being with us. Please join us next from Millville.